Mike, check. Justin Hunt, it's all happening. Thank you for rocking with this channel, analyst. Thank you to everyone who's supported this channel in any way they could, whether that's liking or subscribing or sharing content and letting people know what we're doing over here. Every little bit helps. Big thank you to everyone who has donated to the Cash App, which is right up there, or the link tree, especially Adrian Perez and my man Rory Bateson. I'm gonna get that right. Actually, leave me a comment so I can get the phonetics on that, man. I really appreciate all your contributions to the channel. I'm a one-man shop over here, man, so I really appreciate you. Also, 2 announcements. We have new designs, new t-shirt designs, courtesy of Nanlib. They're currently on the channel right now in the shop section. So there's some new Kendrick Lamar designs. They're really fresh. I can't wait till mine get here. So take a look at those. And I also turned on memberships. You know, it's probably the most efficient way to support this channel for any of you who really want to do so. Yeah, so it's all happening. Now, the reviews are in Analysts. Not only is Lupe Fiasco's Samurai officially one of 2024's best releases, but many are describing it as one of Lupe's best albums, period. Check these scores. The good homies over at Dead End Hip Hop gave it an average score of A. Underground Hip Hop gave it a perfect 10 out of 10. The internet's busiest music nerd, Anthony Fantano, gave it a light 8. Professor Sky dropped a riveting analysis of the project. If you check one out, that's the one to check. Pitchfork gave Samurai a 7.4, which is notable because it's the 3rd highest rating Lupe's ever received from the notoriously nitpicky publication, behind Lou's Certified Classics, Food and Liquor, and The Cool. Seriously, Moses, Muhammad, and Buddha could drop a joint album and Pitchfork would question the collaboration.
Jesus Christ.
Now, Lupe Fiasco is lauded for his storytelling, his third-person wizardry, whether it's the way he turned a project building into a robot on the Grammy-winning Daydreaming, or how he personified the game in the streets in the platinum-selling album The Cool, or Drogas Wave and the way he reimagined a sunken slave ship, but instead of drowning, the slaves actually resurrect and walk back to shore. Lupe's imagination is undefeated. So much so, one of the analysts in this audience dubbed him rap's Christopher Nolan.
Perfect.
Now, on a glance, the title Samurai may feel pretty on the nose for Lupe Fiasco. I mean, he's a super MC who has literally earned multiple black belts in multiple forms of martial arts. But as always with the judo master of juxtaposition, there's a deeper depth. Samurai was actually inspired by an arguably unlikely muse, the late, great Amy Winehouse, specifically a scene from her 2015 documentary, The Price of Fame. Here's a clip.
Hello, that was Amy. Salami, I keep coming up with all battle raps and they're just pouring out of me that Wu-Tang stuff, like, but really neat, very beautifully alliterated little battle raps. So next time you want to come for me and have a battle rap off, I'm going to kill you because I'm a samurai.
Little battle raps. Little battle raps. I'm trying. I like that part, though. Now, the Salam that Amy is referring to is Salam Remy, legendary producer who worked with Winehouse, the Fugees, Doja Cat, and Nas. Nas is one of Lupe's biggest inspirations, by the way. Reportedly, Winehouse had plans to put out a rap project at some point in time, but Lupe took that moment from the doc, used that as inspiration for Samurai, the album, and that quote specifically for the title track of the first song on the project. Here's a clip.
Here we go, 1 second. Very beautifully, very alliterated. Little battle raps for you. Little battle rap.
Little battle raps for you. Oh man, true story. Okay, so I had a procedure this week. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm actually fine. But I had to go under anesthesia. So I promise while I was under anesthesia, I was listening to this project, this album, Samurai, the whole time. That's one of the reasons why there was a delay in putting this out, by the way. So anyway, when I woke up from anesthesia, this is what was on my mind. Here's a clip.
So I woke up from my surgery, or my procedure rather, and I had my mind was filled with these very neat, very beautifully alliterated little battle raps for you. I'm a samurai.
Just felt like sharing that. Promise you I'm okay, but that's how infectious that hook is for me. Now, the rest of the song starts Amy Winehouse's journey into battle rap land. In the beginning, she's a starving artist performing outside of an opera house, big eyes looking like skies and binoculars, 2 nights live, singing by the opera house, but not in it, just by it. Lou gives you a sense of the street performer's perspective, feeling ignored by the hoi polloi. He raps, folks look past the lower class blower of the notes and tell unspoke jokes as they approach, which she'd never be inside, but she hopes. He then closes with her couch surfing at a homie's crib, crashed at a friend's flat for a week, felt his home as a raft on the beach, lit a smoke, took a drag, took a tea, read a book, took a bath, went to sleep. That's the setup. That's the foundation. Now, longtime Lupe Fiasco fans, we understand that resurrection and the supernatural are long-running themes in his work. Michael Young History, for example, resurrects after a friend pours liquor in his coffin. The Long Chains, for example, they resurrect after the slave ship sinks. They come back to life. They walk back to shore, for example. In real life, Amy Winehouse died of alcohol poisoning. Since this isn't a biography, Lupe envisions her waking up the following morning. Track 2, Mumble Rap, opens with her going to the park the next day where she meets an old man who essentially gives her the rapping superpower. She's possessed in a sense. He says, he reached up and grabbed her, sent her pulse off the charts, said everything you do will now be in another art, then vanished like Superman abandoning the planet. But this was similar to finding land in the Atlantic on the low. Old dude grabs her and she just can't stop rapping. I love it. And Soundtrack's lo-fi tribe-esque production is the perfect bedrock to this supernatural series of events. Here's a clip.
Now everything's a verse, and everything's a line. A lyrical non-stop onslaught of rhymes. The hardcore roughneck bomb drop divine. Sound that is found when the tom tops combine with the bass and the snare and the kick. They fill you with a feeling that just make you wanna spit. Rap a couple bars, move your arms like this. Your hand is a gun and your arm is a clip. Let her rip, don't get hit by the split second. Smith & Wesson lips full of hollow tips. Please tell the best on your list that is death with a kiss. And they gotta swallow fire if they tryna follow this. With a style similar to round and round, looking for an arrest to resist. Ain't no rest for the wit, no recess for the gift.
Ew, love that track. Love that track. Especially that part in there where he says, and they gotta swallow fire if they trying to follow this with the sound similar to riding round, looking for an arrest to resist. Jesus. Now, there are some thematic nuances that tie together the overall theme in Mumble Rap's outro. You can hear another artist or someone in the audience talk about, yo, you murdered him, you murdered him. You hear an alarm clock that goes off at the end of the song too. Every time that happens, I look at my phone, I think my phone alarm is going off. Thank you for that, Lupe, I appreciate it. But that lets you know that perhaps it was all a dream. Everything is pretty linear so far, and then we move into the third song, Cake. I already dropped a reaction to the video. It's on the channel. If you haven't seen it, punch yourself in the face. But during COVID, Lupe started a series on IG called Rhyme Shop, where he makes a song in real time for all of us Fiasco fanatics. He actually made Cake during one of those episodes and explained its context within the story. Here's a clip.
So this is after her first battle, right? So she get these magical powers to battle niggas. And this is after her first battle. So this is like she's celebrating. So it's like this shit tastes like cake, right? This one, she said it take the cake. So that's the concept behind it. So she's just like going through like the aftermath of the battle and shit. But each scene in the story has its own song. So that's the thing. Just so niggas ain't confused.
Crazy. So Samurai's been in the works in one way or another for a while now. The fourth track, Palaces, is in line with that, but also the exception. Lupe created that hook years ago, but didn't finalize the verses until this project. Conceptually, the verses conjure thoughts of the mindset an artist or battle rapper needs to maintain control. But when I hear lines like, we think we're fortresses made of stone, and Waiting for Our Time to Shine and Come On Home on the hook. And I could be wrong, but it feels inspired by his manager, Charles Chili Patton. Chili is the linchpin to Lupe's career, but their relationship is much deeper than that. In a conversation with the great William Ketchums for Vibe magazine in 2019, Lupe explained why he decided to keep Chill as his manager the whole time he was incarcerated in one of the thousands of prisons in America, fortresses made of stone. Here's what he said. Chill has done a lot for me, so we are family from the streets to the music business to the corporate business, everything planned. If it wasn't for him, I would not have this entrepreneurial spirit. He made me become vice president when I was 19. I wanted to just be the artist rapping in the studio. He was like, nah, you need to come with me to this meeting and sit down with Leor. You need to come to this meeting and sit down with L.A. Reid. Without him, I wouldn't feel comfortable around men in power, women in power, CEOs or executives and stuff like that because I had never been one. I had always been the artist. There is no way to pay that back. So my loyalty to him is kind of unquestioned, and whatever that means for monetary success is negligible. Chill ended up serving 17 of a 44-year bid on heroin trafficking charges levied in 2007. His conviction relied on testimony from an associate who said some 1,500 grams of heroin police discovered in a storage locker had belonged to Chill. Though the witness later recanted and provided a sworn statement that the drugs actually belonged to him, Chili could not get his conviction reversed. But check this, in a history-making turn of events, Chill became the first person released under a new Illinois reduced sentencing law that passed in 2021. Time shined on Chill, and in 2023, he was able to finally come on home. Again, much of Lupe's more recent works were recorded in his home studio, much like you saw from that clip from Cake. But Palaces, Lupe actually finished that one in the studio with soundtrack and his manager, Chili Chill. One of the first times they've been able to work together or even just be together since the Bush administration. So along with being a visceral internal look at artistic vulnerability, Palaces also feels like a homecoming to me, which makes that majestic hook even more heartwarming. Here's a clip.
We've been talented all along. Think we're fortresses made of stone. But we're just palaces made out of flesh and bone. Waiting for our time to shine, to come on home.
And while we're at it, here's that epic third verse on Palaces too.
Bicep emojis in the group chat, 5 sets of burpees, don't disturb me if the booth black. I'm going through it, got a bunch of baggage on my roof rack. I have a lot of habits that produce that. They gon' put they tag on it. My condolences to the fast moments. Hope the solar system assists my slower mission and put some lag on it. Window to my soul peering inside. The crib where my spirit resides. Lyrics are die.
So we're 4 tracks in. We've got the Amy Winehouse plot setter, Samurai. We've got Mumble Rap, which is the origin story to her superpowered rap. We've got Cake, her first triumphant victory. And we've got Palaces, which looks at the internal constitution that must be fortified as an artist. Now, track 5 is number 1, Headband, which is an Afro Samurai reference. Professor Sky already did an amazing analysis on Afro Samurai and how it relates to this album, so go over there, check it out, show him some love, AVAA all day. But here's the gist, right? So whoever has the number 1 headband is the top dog, and the only person that can challenge the number 1 headband wearer is the person who has the number 2 headband. And if you have the number 2 headband, then you're open to challenges from everybody in the world. So everybody in the world can challenge the person with the number 2 headband, but only the person with the number 2 headband can challenge the person with the number 1 headband. So on this album, this represents Amy Winehouse working her way up the battle rap leaderboard. High on replay value, smooth jazz production, courtesy of soundtrack, it's all happening. And for the most part, that's where the linear nature of Samurai ends. Bigfoot, for example, detours into life as an independent artist, waiting on their big break, empty shows, dealing with legal contracts when you'd rather focus on the music. It ties more into the scene set on the title track than into the journey to earn battle rap's number 1 headband. Then there's Outside, which captures the post-battle culture. I mean, it could be a battle, but it also applies so well to broader indie culture too. When you're trying to meet your friends after the show, but get caught up talking to artists and fans. I hadn't heard about Lupe when he was at that stage of his career, but during a conversation I had with Chili back in 2016 when he was still incarcerated, he shared a glimpse of how he built Lou's lyrical reputation by sending him to cyphers in New York City back in 2002. Here's a clip.
See, this was the evolution of Lou. Lou was a ridiculous spitter, right? Like, but I used to always tell Lou, if you want to be the greats, you go up against the greats, right? So Lou was developed. What I mean by that is like, because I was doing so much business with the record labels in New York, because I was consulting back then for all of them putting albums together and shit like that, right? So every time we went to New York, Lou would be in ciphers. Like, it was fun, you know. He might be in a cipher with UnKasa one day. He in a cipher with Jay-Z one day. He in a cipher with Mateo. Mateo, I don't know if you know Mateo. Mateo, like the god of the shit to me.
He's in a cipher with UnKasa one day. He's in a cipher with Jay-Z one day. You want to be great, you go against the greats. See, I love that quote because it brings me closer to some of the subtleties on Samurai. The rapper reaction at the end of Mumble Rap, for example. The extended break before the third verse on Outside, for example. In comparison to other Lupe concept records like Drogas Wave or The Cool, which feel Avengers-sized, Samurai feels like The Defenders, much more relatable, much closer perhaps to real-world experiences Lupe's had on his artistic journey. He's crafted an immaculate career shining a light on all the world's ills, and it's also refreshing to hear him revel in ground-level, tangible artistic narratives. The last song on the project is called Til Eternity, and right now it's the track I've listened to the most. It feels like something straight from the Just Might Be Okay chamber, a classic offering off his classic debut, Food and Liquor. One part introspective, one part inspirational. Here's a clip.
Before the charges, I was Bill of Rights from TED Talks, Meet the Tods before it all started. But you can't harvest before the hardship. Might scrape the ground like Mike's shoes. Back it up. You might have to hover before the high school, just like I do. Yes, we will go far, smelling like sage smoke, even with those wild stallions way behind our stagecoach. It will behoove you to action Dr. Who's while salute to the game that you're used to, yeah.
But you can't harvest before the hardship. Perhaps that's the truest theme of Samurai. In the beginning of the project, Amy Winehouse was basically homeless, performing on the street, crashing at a friend's pad, and by the end she's wearing the #1 headband, and now she has to deal with contracts and lawyers and attendance at shows. Lupe and Chill went through a world of hardships throughout their 25-plus years navigating the music industry's terrible, and now they're back in person in the studio looking happier than I've personally ever seen them. Lou's smiling all the time, he's doing interviews which he hates, and best believe Chill's presence is a major reason why Samurai came out as impressive and as high in replay value as it is. You could say this album's about Amy Winehouse, sure, even though 2 words Lupe never says in the music are Amy and Winehouse. But from mic to plug, Samurai is the hip-hop hero's journey. You go out into the world looking to craft something extraordinary, get your ass kicked, then you realize that what you were searching for was inside you the whole time. It's all happiness.
Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping in. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.